Hey traders, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're gonna go through the market update and we're also gonna take a look at the weekly watch list. If you're interested in this information, make sure to stick all the way through this video. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. First of all, I want to say thank you guys for your support. We are almost at 800 subscribers, and the goal for the next couple of months is getting that to a thousand, is getting the channel to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for your support. So let's just jump right here into the charts. The main goal of the video, guys, as you know, for these weekly videos is to create a high probability roadmap going into next week. And everything that I share is based just on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. And also, for anyone new here, if you find any value in the information, make sure to subscribe to the channel. So let's start here with the SPX. And what is really interesting, and let me just grab my drawing tools here. What is pretty interesting is that we have been talking about this 5,800 level target for a while now. And it's pretty interesting to see, and we were talking about this in the last couple of videos, that usually when you get these pullbacks back into support, I have the 21 exponential and the 8 exponential creating a kind of a cloud of EMAs. If you're pulling back into support in an uptrend, usually what happens is that a trend continues. So it's more difficult for a, it requires more energy for a trend to change the pattern than just to continue. So one of the most important principles that I have been using is just to have this trend following approach to the market. So a lot of people can tend to get really excited when the market is breaking out, but when we have these normal retracements into moving averages, a lot of people start creating a lot of thesis of why the market is going to turn, why the market is stopping, or why are we going to have some external thing that is going to affect the prices in the market. And they forget that the most important thing is to just follow the trend. And if we jump into the other indexes that we follow here in the channel, if we take a look at the Nasdaq Composite, you can see that the pullback that we had was an absolute gift, right? We had this beautiful pullback into that 21 exponential moving average, and now we're just having a normal continuation of the trend. So one of the most important things to understand is that you have to follow the trend until the trend changes. And one of the easiest ways to do that is using exponential moving averages, right? I have the 8 here and I have the 21, and I have made videos about these exponential moving averages. You can find them in the channel as well. So let's get here and let's go to the point of this video. So what is going to be the expectation that I'm going to have for next week, especially in terms of the SPX? So what we could expect going into next week. First of all, we are reaching some very important targets in the short term here. So if we just make this chart a little bit smaller, you can see that if we measure a Fibonacci, and you know guys that I'm a fan of Fibonacci, if we measure a Fibonacci extension from this high right here to this low right here, the 1272 extension comes right here at 5,815. And you can see right now that the market is testing that level right here. So that is actually my first target for the SPX. If we are talking about a complete move for me, that would be all the way to 6,000, which is the 1618 extension using Fibonacci from that same swing. So that would be kind of the move that I'm looking going into the year end. But now the question is, what are we going to expect going into next week? So first things first, let's take a look at the momentum indicators that I watch. Um, and you can see that momentum continues to be pretty positive. Right here, we have a MACD. And right now, every time that we have this cross above the signal line, we tend to have really strong moves in terms of momentum. So my expectation going into next week is for a continuation of this move and perhaps a continuation all the way to this level of 500. It's going to be 5,850. That's going to be the first level that I'm going to be looking for resistance. And then the next level that I'm going to be looking is for 5,880. Now, I don't think that if we happen to see a normal retracement all the way back to 5,770, you have to be scared of it. I think that that most likely is going to be an opportunity. You can see that we have that anchor VWAP zone right into that level. If we happen to see a little bit of a pullback at the beginning of the week, I do think that that's going to be a really nice opportunity to get long, because that is going to coincide with the breakout level that we had also in the SPX. So this chart is looking pretty nice. If we jump into the Qs, you're going to see that the Qs are actually forming a really nice base, and they're looking to break out as well. So let's take a look right here at the QQQ. And what is pretty awesome about it is that I do think that we had a really nice chance of testing that all-time high, and this is something that we have been talking for a while. And right now, I do think that the pattern is practically ready. You can see right here that we are testing these highs again. Now the question is, are we going to form a flag before going? If we happen to do that, I do think that we're going to have plenty of opportunities to participate in this move. I personally have a position in the TQQQ. I started my position as soon as we tested this anchor VWAP. So I'm looking for a first target. You can see right here that I have the Fibonacci extensions. This is going to be the 1272. This is the swing that I'm using for those extensions. So that's going to come here somewhere around 498. And then the next target is going to be the 1618, which happens to coincide with that all-time high. So I do think that that's going to be a really nice short-term target for the Qs. If we happen to reach that target, I think that that's going to be a pretty amazing opportunity to take a lot of profit in the positions that you are swinging right now. So that's going to be what I'm looking for the Qs. Any invalidations for me would be if the Qs happen to break below the swing low that we had in price, and we happen to go below that 21 exponential, then that's going to be an invalidation for the thesis that we're seeing. But for now, I do think that we're going to see higher prices in the indexes and general and in the market in general. If we take a look at the DIA, on the DIA is looking awesome. We are having this really nice breakout. And I do remember, I don't know if we mentioned it here in the channel, but I think we did. So we were talking about this head and shoulders kind of move in the DIA. And we talked that if we happen to invalidate that head and shoulders, we tend to see really fast moves to the upside. So that's what we're seeing in the DIA. I do think that we're going to continue to see higher prices here. But something that I want to talk about is going to be the IWM. And what is really interesting about the IWM, and let me just hide my alerts here. What is really interesting about the IWM is that we have been correcting for a while now. If you see right here, this kind of peak move happened somewhere around mid-September, and it has been a month of complete chop right here in the IWM. So now we tested kind of a double bottom at that 50 daily moving average. And you can see right here that momentum is starting to curl to the upside, which is actually a pretty bullish thing to see. And of course, we had a pretty nice move after the PPI report, which is a confirmation, in my opinion, that we're going to see a continuation, and we're going to see more participation in terms of names that are going to continue to guide this next leg to the upside. So this is actually a pretty nice flag. We have this breakout. We do have to consider that IWM tends to be really choppy, but I do think that the path to retest these highs that we made on August is a pretty high probability target going all the way into November. So right now we are starting to test some short-term targets. I do think that we're probably going to test these 223 level right here, and then perhaps we're going to see a little bit of a pause in the IWM, but eventually I am thinking of a 230 target in this index as well. So the market is looking pretty bullish. That's kind of the first thing that I want to mention. And of course, you guys know that I like taking a look at the UVXY. And right now, the UVXY is kind of coiling here, which is also one of the reasons that I do want to be a bit careful with the market a little bit extended. But given that we are breaking right now, we are in negative momentum back again. I wouldn't be surprised if the UVXY happens to break below that 21 exponential moving average, and then we are going to form, we're going to basically change the trend right here in the UVXY after testing this 200 daily moving average, and that would be pretty bullish for the markets. So right now we have kind of this opposition between volatility and the SPX. What I would like to see to get a little bit more confident in the long side will be for a break below these moving averages, these exponential moving averages in the UVXY. But for now, negative momentum. We're starting to find sellers at that anchor VWAP from this really big candle that we had testing that 200 daily moving average. So I'm looking for a pause here in volatility and then a continuation to the upside in the overall market. So what are going to be the names that I'm going to be watching for next week? Basically, for now, this is going to be my watch list. The Qs, we already went through the Qs. I do think that the SPY also looks interesting if we happen to see a little bit of a pullback. But one name that I'm watching and one name that I'm trading right now is going to be Microsoft. And what I really like about Microsoft is that Microsoft has been correcting, right? So Microsoft has been lagging, and of course, remember, guys, that the time frame that I use for my trades tends to be really short term. So I'm looking for usually the moves that I'm looking for happens in a window of 3 days. So that's something really important to understand as well. I do think that that window offers a lot of opportunity, and that's kind of how, and that's one of the reasons that I have adapted my system to that trading window. So Microsoft has been lagging. You can see right here that it has corrected all the way down here. But what I really like about Microsoft is that we are retesting kind of this launch level that we had. So anytime that you had a really strong move to the upside like this one, usually the base that formed before that move tends to be a really important level of demand. So we are testing that level of demand. You can see right here that we had a really nice candle, and the trade that I'm looking for is going to be a pretty simple trade. You can see right here that Microsoft is testing the anchor VWAP. We are finding support, momentum turned positive on that MACD. And what I'm looking for is a pretty easy move. I'm looking for Microsoft to hold this level and then make a move all the way to 422. And then perhaps we're going to get a little bit more, but that's going to be the first target that I'm looking for Microsoft. And then one name that I really like is going to be Apple. So Apple is looking pretty awesome here. I really like the fact that we continue to make higher lows. So I do think that Apple is contracting into resistance, which usually tends to lead to a breakout. So really nice looking chart here on Apple. We are holding that 8 exponential moving average. That is the level that I started my position, and I'm looking for this anchor VWAP zone to hold. Momentum is positive in both of my indicators, and I'm looking for a continuation in Apple. First target, of course, is going to be one multiple of my risk, and then perhaps we're going to get a move all the way to those Fibonacci extensions measured from this high right here to this low right here. So those are gonna be the the names that I'm gonna be watching. I'm also watching this one, kind of a speculative name. It's gonna be Mobile Eye. It's gonna be Mobile Eye, and this one is looking interesting, right? Pretty strong candle that we had on Friday. A kind of this higher low pattern. What I would like to do with this one, I don't have a position in this one, but if we happen to get a pullback all the way somewhere around 1237, I do think that that's going to be a really nice opportunity to set your stop somewhere around here and looking for a retest of these highs. That's going to be a really nice move in this more speculative name. So those are going to be the setups, the most important setups that I'm going to be watching, guys. I do want to be a little bit patient since the market has already, we are reaching some short-term targets in the SPX. So I do want to be a bit careful. Remember that next week is expiration week, so we tend to see a lot of volatility going into expiration, which is on Friday. So once again, guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Thank you so much for your time and for your support, and I will see you on future videos. Take care and bye bye.